we're going to do right now is change the DNS entry for a given website. What we're trying to accomplish is to enable the Edinburgh Church website on a new DNS platform. This is a new account that has been developed in the background, and we're going to switch over its DNS entry. Right now, the DNS entry for this particular website, if you ping it, right, is not the one that we want, so to speak. Here we are. Let's get this tested real quick so we know what right now, what does the internet think this DNS entry is. So sending a ping 192.078.64. Okay, that's what the internet thinks this is. That's what it's set to publicly. So we're going to go to, let's see if we can get to cPanel. Let's see. Okay. Before we do the finish setup, what I'm trying to do is, let me go back here. Let's see what our domains are supposed to be. Okay. Overview. Okay, here we are. These are our name servers. So we want to change the name servers on the Edinburgh domain. Okay, so I'm in the GoDaddy interface. I am looking at my products is where I've gotten. And then from my products, I go to the domain manager. And from the domain manager, I'm looking for Edinburgh. Once here, I need to manage the DNS. None of this stuff matters right now, but I'm going to click DNS. And I want to change the name servers. Okay? Right now, these are default name servers that GoDaddy runs. In order for things like the SSL or the HTTPS certs to be executed properly, I need to change the name servers to HostGator. So I'm going to say use my own, and HostGator NS1. I'm going to do NS1 and 2. I'm going to double check. I believe that is in fact, yep, NS2. So I'm just taking these guys and setting these as the name servers here. It warns me here that, hey, you're moving away from the DNS management tools of GoDaddy, et cetera, et cetera. That's okay. Continue. Now, the thing is, this can take some time to propagate, especially when it comes to international domains. So we may have to pause the video here and come back tomorrow in about 24 hours to finish this. Way to check this, I use DNS Checker, which is a fantastic tool. I had a default set to name server, but you can check all kinds of records, right? So I need to see if the public internet sees Edinburgh's name servers as this, which is what they were set to, or let me refresh this because I did change these to HostGator's NS1 and 2 here. So I got to see if this is what, if this is propagating, right? And it looks like it is. This is interesting. So it looks like it is propagating. This is probably a previous setting. Let's take a look and see if we can finish the setup. Let's see. Doesn't look like it's working. So, and that's okay. It might take some time. Okay. Progress. Awesome. All right. It looks like it's working. Okay, cool. Excellent. So it looks like it worked. So let's go back to overview. Let's see if we finish the setup. Okay. It might still be processing. Again, oh, okay. That's promising. Okay. Let's see. File manager, huh? Okay. Looks like there's already quite a bit installed here. So I'm going to cPanel. Okay, this is the IP address of the website. Let's see what the internet thinks. Remember, we pinged this earlier, and it saw it as this A record. So that tells me that edinburghchurch.org.uk is pointing to this IP address. This IP address, if you notice, is different, right? Different than this one here, right? So this IP address is radically different than this one. This is not the same server. So the server at HostGator, which is the new installation, has this IP address, 108.167, etc., right? This right here. The old address on the old server is this one. It looks like this has been updated, but we're going to check right now to see if the internet at large recognizes this address has changed. So we're going to run this ping test again. Nope, it doesn't recognize it. So this tells me that the internet still thinks, right, that the edinburghchurch.org.uk resolves to this IP address, which is the old one. And even though some machines will see this new address, it's not completely propagated. This correlation between a domain name, edinburghchurch.org.uk is the domain name, and the shared IP address, this correlation is called an A record in domain name service speak. Okay, so I'm going to go back to DNS checker, domain name service checker, and I'm going to check the A record for this DNS entry for edinburghchurch.org.uk. Okay, so it looks pretty correct at the internet at large. What that tells me, right, is my local system has cached this. Caching is a mechanism where your local computer caches your DNS entries to make looking up websites quicker, which for us is a problem because we changed this thing. We're like, hey, wait a minute, we changed this. And so the ping is locked into my local system. The internet at large sees it correctly, but my machine doesn't because the last time I looked at the website, it was connected to the old one. So now I need to tell my machine, hey, look, refresh your DNS cache. This should work. Yeah, okay. You know what? I might actually have to do this as an admin. So sometimes when you do command prompt stuff like this, you got to run it as an administrator. So ipconfig, let's see, flush DNS. This is just me saying DNS. So this ipconfig, Internet Protocol Configuration on Windows, flush the DNS cache. Okay. So I just told Windows, forget all your cache resolutions. So Windows should, in fact, forget that it associated this old IP address with this DNS entry. So again, what Windows does, and a lot of computers do this, even Macintosh or Linux machines, when you ask for a website, right, it stores that website's IP address so it doesn't have to keep doing DNS queries over and over again every time you ask for a website. And that's what that DNS resolver cache is. It's all that stuff memorized on your local machine. So now I'm telling it flushed it, so it should forget it, and then I'm going to tell it to register to like finish the job to make sure there's nothing else going on. Okay. So now when I ping this, in theory, it should be the new address because I just told Windows, hey, forget everything that you cached and be ready to reset and re-register everything. So it should be good. Now, if you look at DNS Checker, the IP address for edinburghchurch.org.uk should not be the one that Windows had in its cache, the 192. But instead should be this 108 address. Let's see if that worked. What do you know? Now, notice carefully, now We told Windows forget your cache, so it forgot that this DNS resolved to this IP, this A record, and now it resolves to the right one. Cool. So now we should be able to see too, right? This DNS name. Okay, I think that this here is something we set up during the development of the website. But I think these are the master main like master name servers for HostGator. And things work differently in how name servers are set up. There's a master name server and a slave name server. It's kind of a backup failover situation. And so I think these are slave name servers, slaves to these main ones in terms of how they operate. And so these have the correct IP address for Edinburgh on HostGator. And we told GoDaddy, who we purchased the domain name from or registered the domain at, use these name servers. So the good news is because we use these slave name servers as well as the main name servers, the IP address is correct. But as you see, even though we told, GoDaddy use these two name servers, NS1 and NS2 for HostGator, right? It's still not fully propagated yet here, right? Let's do it again. So it's still not propagated. So this is probably updating. Nope. So only a few here have the new ones, right? Only Auckland has it. And so what this means is that it's called DNS propagation. It can take up to 24 hours, sometimes 48 hours too. Depends, Monterrey, Mexico, right now, this means that the DNS transition is about to happen. So what's probably happening is in Monterrey, Mexico, the machine there that does DNS resolution is updating its records and restarting it. So we should be able to refresh and it should resolve soon. It's still thinking, so it's still being updated. Which the thing to consider is if you don't see this change here right away, where you had the old IP address, the old server, and then you ran the Windows operation to flush the DNS so it forgets what it has cached, right? The old address, and you say go ahead re-register things, okay? And then you get to this part and you still see not the new address, but you still see the old one. The issue with that is that this propagation process hasn't finished, and it does take sometimes. It does take a day or two. So don't be troubled by that. Just come back in 24 hours or the next day around the same time, and you should see that most of these have been changed over, right? Most of these have been changed over. At the end of the day, if it takes longer than 2 days, there may be an issue with how things are configured. And send an email to support@ust21.org. If you're really brave, go ahead and contact support yourself. So now we're looking at the website from cPanel. So this website, this is the tool that manages everything having to do with how this website is configured. Now I'm going to go look at this website on the front end. Notice it says, hey, look, you don't have a right certificate name. What this is telling me is that the HTTPS, the certificate that makes the connection between my computer and the Edinburgh website secure, is not configured yet. Now, there's two problems with this. The first problem is because we're in the middle of DNS propagation, right? And the main name servers for this installation or this website are supposed to be NS1 and NS2, right? We might have to wait until all this is propagated to NS1 and NS2, right? So we may have to wait 24 hours to 2 days before we can properly issue a certificate to make the website's security work properly, which is kind of a drag, okay? But that's how DNS can work. But in the meantime, I can still try to kind of force it. So what I'm going to do is under domains here, or security rather, I'm going to take a look at these settings, the SSL, Secure Socket Layer TLS settings, right? what this means is HTTPS. That's what this is talking about. And HTTPS is a type of secure protocol. Okay. I'm going to take a look. Okay. I'm going to say, let's see, generate new. No, I'm not going to do any of this. This is going to be done automatically, and I'll show you how in a moment. But I'm just going to, just as a prudence, I saved it so the system kind of reinitiates an auto SSL. So the reason I did this is because I want the system, because remember, as far as this cPanel server is concerned, up until just a few moments ago, it wasn't connected to the DNS authority. It wasn't, this setup here that we have was not connected to the actual domain. It was different name servers. It was a different setup. And so this cPanel server and this security thing, it wasn't connected. But once we connected it, right, we set it up here and set these and set these name servers to the right ones, right? And then we connected it. We did the finished setup over here, right? This part. Oh, now it says SSL is on. This is a good sign. So what this probably means is that our refresh of saving this and doing this probably fixed the certificate issue, right? So the way encryption works is there's a certificate authority that checks to make sure that you are who you say you are, looks at your domain configurations, your DNS settings, and so on, and then issues you a certificate so that you can make secure connections between your machine and whoever's talking to you. So in theory, this should be sorted out at this point. Let's see if it's working now. Let's see. Boop. Nope. Looks like it's still broken. Let me close this and go back to cPanel. Again, we may have to wait till tomorrow. So in any case, let's see the status. Okay. Okay. This is great. So let me do this. I'm going to start a new browser. Remember I told you earlier that sometimes your computer will cache its the IP address for a different website, right? It does the same thing with secure connections. So there's a lot of layers of things that are cached or stored locally so that they don't have to be requested again. So what's happened here is my browser, Chrome, has cached a stale or incorrect security certificate. And so even though I'm looking at a system and it says, hey, the certificate's correct, it's valid, on my local machine, because of caching mechanisms, I don't see the proper resolution of the certificate. I still get an error, right? Let's see if it reissues. Let me see if the cache went stale. Okay, it looks like it might be requesting a new one now. No, okay. Still the same problem. Well, I'm going to check here. See if I get, okay, so I still get an issue. All right, let me see what's happening. Okay. What's going on here? Let me see what's going on here. Okay. Okay, what is happening? Why are we getting SSL error 1? This says everything's fine, but this says it's not. Okay. HS. Oh, right now because it uses H. Oh, that's locks into secure only. Okay. HSTS. Okay. Let's loosen that up a second. Let me run this again. I'm going to rerun this again just as a precaution. While this is running in the background, I'm going to go back here. Looking at this and I'm thinking, okay. Here. Okay. Okay, that was run. It was validated. Excellent. Okay. Here. This is good. Default type. I want to keep that there. Okay, good. Maybe it's under domains. Let's see. Okay. I'm not forcing it. But it says I can't turn it on. I wonder why. Manage. Okay. Awesome. Okay. It might be configured somewhere else. Let's go back here. Okay. It looks like we're still dealing with some configuration issues here. So it looks like this is, let me manage this. Okay. It's active. No. Okay. domains. Pointed secure. Okay, this is good. So it might be something on my end with my system. I'm going to close down this browser, right? Let me close down this browser. Close all this stuff down. Let me just shut everything down here and start fresh. Okay. Close all these things down. Okay. All right. Now let me reopen this and let me use a different account. How about use my personal account? And I'm going to see if I can get Edinburgh church.org.uk. Let's see if we can get something fresh here if it still chokes on us. Okay. So what's probably happened is even though, so now we're seeing the right website now, obviously. So this is what it should look like. You'll notice here that the connection's secure. That's because I read the correct certificate. My machine is now up to date. So what I did there is I shut down every single session. If you look, the way it's all about trying to make your user experience more peppy and more efficient. If you notice here, Chrome has all these background processes, right? All trying to make things more efficient and more quicker for you and your experience. And so what happens is Chrome caches security certificates. And so even though you shut down a browser and stuff, when you reload that browser using the same user ID, the same profile, like I was using this profile earlier, right? This is my other profile. It caches it. So one of the challenges is when you do make updates like this, you want to be thorough. And sometimes the thing to do is if you're really doing a lot of development and stuff, it's good to have like a virtual machine that has a completely different set of cookies and different set of authentication. It's basically like a computer within your computer. That's a great solution for this. Another thing you can do is like use remote desktop to access things from a different machine. Like sometimes you just have to fit in your head. You got to think, I'm breaking the cache here. I've got to break this cache. And so now we see the new website looking good. This is gorgeous. Great work. Working on this. Awesome. So what did we learn today? Well, let's do a quick overview. Well, one of the first things we learned is that to really you got to check and see what IP address does your computer think a given website is, right? Because remember, your local computer can cache things, right? And then after you figured out what your computer thinks it is, you need to know what the internet at large thinks it is, right? So you've got to be like, okay, what does the computer, what does the internet at large think this IP address of this thing is? So let me look. Okay, what is it? Let me see the A record, the IP address to DNS name. Okay, it's correct. When we started, it was like a 192 address. I mean, if you recall earlier, you can skip back in the previous part of the video. But and we also learned that the local machine, like sometimes will cache the IP address, and you have to do the IP config flush DNS so that your local machine can see it right? And then you also have to do the register DNS after you flush it, because you're getting computers set up to reinitiate caching IP addresses. So your local machine will see the update. And lastly, there's an issue with security certificates where you can go to a website, and even though the IP address is correct and stuff, what happens is you refresh the cache of IP addresses. That was done. But your computer also caches security certificates, and you get a security certificate error, which is what we were having earlier. And so, what I did to solve that is I closed all my browsers down, and I actually opened up with a different identity, right? So I switched my profiles. And so what that does, when you have different profiles on your on your computer, what it does is it refreshes the cookies and the certificates and other authentication. So it's like a whole nother. It's almost like using a different computer to see that. And again, you're just deleting the caches on your local machine to make sure that what you're seeing is accurate. And all that to say this, this is what a DNS transition or turnover looks like. So hopefully that's been helpful for you. Of course, if you have any questions or, issues or concerns, or, just a quick reminder, sometimes it takes a couple of days for these things to transition properly. We were kind of already doing things in the background, so we had it set to a HostGator slave DNS server. And so that made this transition a lot more simple. But you may have to wait a couple of days until you see on DNS Checker or something similar that the name server is in fact, Edinburgh, ICC, church.org.uk. Is that it? I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. You may have to wait a few days, 2 days, up to 2 days to see if this. If you wait 2 days and you still don't see this changing, then there is an issue. We got to reach out to support. But anyway, that's all for now, and thank you for listening, and hope this has been helpful.